Just hear what also the Deputy President had to say about Raila running for presidency.
Ule mtu wa kitendawili ametangaza ya kwamba anataka kushindana na mimi kule 2022. Mimi nataka niseme hivi. Haya mambo nimeyasikia. Kama alikuwa anasema inifikie, mimi nataka nimweleze nimesikia.
So where is the demand letter for Honorable Ruto?
But don't you see the point, Dibao? Ruto is responding to what he believes Raila said. He did not say it. And those are some of the consequences of inaccurate reporting. It's unfortunate. For Ruto, it's okay.
But I just read you where we actually put it to you that this is a hint.
But surely, Dibal, you read the story and I explained to you that that was about the ODM grassroots elections.
But you've denied me also to actually go through the gist of the story itself and try and pick up where we had all those inflammatory statements. You say we needed
you have every right to that. You will sit with your lawyers, you will go through the story, then you will respond as you deem appropriate. I have no problem with that. I told you that we wanted to navigate a very delicate issue. And for me, the only issue is this, and that's what you'll need to discuss seriously with your reporters. You know, I taught defamation law for 12 years to reporters. The first line is accuracy. If you report accurately, there is no fear. Even if you are sued, it will go nowhere because all you will do is produce the clip and show that it was said. Now, don't try to mix this with those who say Raila will run. That is a different story. Anyone can say it. But the only question is, did he say it? And he did not. That's all.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so it seems, just a moment, it seems this is just a matter of time, right? Whether we'll have a declaration or not, yeah, it's a matter of time. What if now, full steam ahead, he declares that he will?
Yeah, that will not make the story accurate.
It will not.
It will be now accurate.
It is just we announced earlier, isn't it?
No,
so, yeah.
But if it is you announcing,
because
like
the way
today,
you're putting it, no, just a moment.
Let's agree.
The way you're putting it is like, okay, this is a preemption by the Sunday Nation, and there's nothing whatsoever up its collective sleeves now as far as running for presidency in 2022 is concerned.
If you listened to what Dr. said, which I agree with, that is okay. It is okay for the papers to call out all possible candidates. It's okay for the papers to speculate. It's even okay for the papers to quote those who say so and so will run or not. That is not the same thing as saying, I, for example, if you quote me today that I've said I'll run for the presidency, then tomorrow I must ask you, give me the clip or where I said it. And if you don't, then apologize and we move on. That is accuracy. The question of whether he will declare in future or not is irrelevant. It will not make the story any more accurate. It will still remain inaccurate. And as a media policy, I think you want to hold your reporters to accuracy of reporting because it otherwise exposes you in terms of the level of reporting and to possible lawsuits. It is not right for any media house to defend any reporter who misreports. It's actually in your interest to ask the reporter, bring the clip, bring somebody who can translate Luo. Let us see where he said it. And if he did, then you quote it. If he didn't, then you apologize. That is all.
There's something that Otiende hasn't addressed up to now. The issue of intolerance. The fact that you saw this as your only remedial measure. Imagine yourself if you're in the situation. And I keep bringing this example because it's the only example that I can find of, say, someone like DP William Ruto, who he not only is most of the time quoted out of context, but anybody who is seen to be close to him loses their name and become an ally. You know, every other time that anybody who's perceived to be his friend or his political foe, every time they say something, they lose a name and they say, Ruto allies now say the following. Now, if you were to all at the level of, Raila extend this kind of abrasiveness towards the media, that for every time that they say something that you consider not to represent your thoughts or injurious to your strategy, because I want to believe that's what Otiende is complaining about, that you resort to suing. Surely, isn't that intolerant of him?
First, we have not sued. Let's be clear. We have made a demand for a correction. Secondly, I had said that demanding accuracy of reporting cannot be intolerant. But in respect to what you've now said 3 times, I actually suspect that in the respect of DP Ruto, 85% of those reports are accurate. Perhaps that's why he chooses not to sue. But if they were not, he would be right to demand a correction. think sometimes the DP sort of exasperates me because, you know, yes, they say he's ahead in the race for 2022. Very few others have declared. And of course, Uhuru will not be running, so he's ahead. But sometimes I wonder, can't he hire some people to coach him in language? Because like now, what you just projected there, when he says, huyu muti ya vitendawili, you know, he's alienating people who are Raila supporters, who would possibly have supported him. So I don't know, this language that he uses, is it a question of lack of etiquette? Is it a question of political bad manners?
Maybe it's a question we should put to Aaron Cheruiyot. He's just near you. I think you can answer that very well.
You need to talk to the DP to moderate his language. Moderate his language. He'll come out statesmanly. You know, some of the words he uses against his possible opponents, to describe his possible opponents, alienates the supporters of those opponents, even if those opponents were not to run. These people would have gone. Okay. So I find it very interesting.
I think the first person you should advise with those kind of advices is your own party leader. Just look for Hansard of the things he says in Parliament about his colleagues. I think there's nobody who's called for being out of order because of his language more than his own party leader. So
yeah, but you see,
while your advice is correct, please take it to your party leader.
My party leader doesn't have the podium.
More than William.
My party leader doesn't have the podium that William has. And you know, for the level of a DP.
What do you mean he doesn't have the podium?
He's a DP.
The seriousness of his candidate.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm talking about here is when a DP or a president is speaking, children are listening, everybody's listening. What message are we giving these children? That when you are a leader, you are allowed to call people names. That's not good. It's
no,
not
good. But surely, even in Swahili, mutu ya kitendawili. It's really, I mean, the man of the parables, which is what Raila is. Surely, what? No, I mean, he uses.
You can try.
Part of his political lingua includes.
You can try to explain it off in any way you want. But I know that even Raila has a problem in the sense that he calls Ruto the Lord of whatever, and things like those. So I think we need some political hygiene in how we address each other.
Now, at least in
let's bring it to a close, please.
I'll close on this by requesting the Orange Democratic Movement, through their lawyer here, not to reverse the gains that we have made on freedom of the media. You are reminding us of the days when Kenneth Matiba, may his soul rest in eternal peace, when he would ask the members of the media to read back to him after a press conference what it is that they are going to write about what he has talked. If you do not want your party leader to be quoted in the media, tell him to shut up. Otherwise, people are going to write and report about him in the manner they believe they had him. And if he believes that he was misquoted, he has a responsibility on the right of response and say, no, you got it wrong. This is actually what I was saying. You know, if you go to Kamega, there is a bird called an eagle. An eagle can come in the compound and take the only family chicken. And little children, even under 5 years, are trained to know that when it comes, it is going to take away this chicken. So the children, upon seeing it, start screaming and running around the compound. That is exactly what you are doing. Like a 5-year-old, you're screaming and running around the compound, because with that announcement, your family chicken, called what you eat from the handshake, is going to evaporate the moment your partners in the handshake realize that you want to use it to achieve other things other than peace and tranquility.
Right.
Take legal advice from Khalwale at your own risk. That is what I'm saying.
Okay, but I need to ask you, maybe even as winding up, Israel is also a very important aspect of the communication, maybe from the Right Honorable. Since also he speaks in riddles and parables, which also the Deputy President is speaking on, right? You're actually leaving a spawning ground for everyone to speculate.
Exactly.
If you say, sisi tutaenda Canaan, tujafika bado, right? Then someone will just actually pick up a headline, of course, with a room for speculation like he's done. Why can't he just then be forthright with what he says? Vitendawili, what is the aspect of Vitendawili maybe in the politics then? Or what are we meant to do with the Vitendawili?
Dibal, let us not belittle a serious issue of accuracy in reporting. What you are saying is personal interpretation. If you do a story and say that this is how I spoke, and then you go ahead and say, in my view, what Otiende must have had in mind is this. No, hold on. Let's be serious here. That's okay, because you are putting your own interpretation. That is different from when you say, I said. That is the distinction. So please, let's not belittle a very serious issue. No. For me, I am for freedom of the media, freedom of the press, but we must be very careful. And I agree with what Aaron was saying, quoting Musale Mudavadi. We need some hygiene. You know this thing of misrepresenting people. It's not, in fact, in the mainstream media, it is okay. It is usually much better. But once go to social media, go to the other media, where they will quote you and ascribe to you things that you didn't touch on at all. I am for freedom of the media and freedom of expression, but only as long as it's true and accurate. When it is not true and not accurate, I cannot defend it. And that is the standard also in the Constitution.
Then when we have riddles, yes, what are we left with then? And we have riddles which are left hanging, for the public to decipher.
And I wish really, if it's possible, it's okay. But I watched this thing of Mudavadi on your platform, actually on NTV. I wish you had been able to bring up some of the things that he's raising, calling out the hypocrisy of Raila Odinga and how he's conducting his politics. That was really fundamental to me, because one of the things that he continues to raise, for example, is the reason why we are in the current political situation where NASA or maybe ODM continues to complain about the 2017 elections is because of IEBC. So if you have gone and you've shaken hands with the person that was your competitor and who you have put out in the public that robbed off my victory, how comes you are not having a discussion about IEBC? Kriegler report after the 2007-2008 post-election violence told us that for any time that you guys want to be safe, at least 2 years to any election, you must have IEBC properly constituted. But ODM up to date, and they're the ones who have a problem with IEBC, do not want us to entertain this discussion. Instead, they want to fearmonger among us the country and sell this thing that they are calling inclusivity and Ongeza Mzigo through this thing of BBI, saying that now you know the absurdity of that proposal. And Otiende, I want to sincerely
but that's a different discussion. Let's not mix issues.
It's not about mixing issues, but it's about calling out your hypocrisy.
We can discuss political parties, we can discuss Punguza Mzigo, we can discuss IBC, but let's not mix issues. If you want us to discuss them, let's take them one by one. I will tell you, we were seated with Eseli Simeo, what we proposed in terms of IBC, which was shot down by the National Assembly. I will tell you what the National Assembly has done in the last 2 weeks about IBC. I can tell you a lot of things about a lot of other things, but let's not mix issues. Each at a time.
He wants to gag, yes. He really wants to gag us today. But I sincerely understand your position.
No. And, you don't win arguments by collecting things from everywhere and dumping them together. That's not how to argue.
No, it's not about lumping up.
One at a time. We were discussing about the statements of Raila. But if you want us to discuss IBC, let's go there. Yes.
Let's bring it to a close. Bonnie, you have something to say?
Is it a coincidence that two cartoonists in two different papers have spoken to what we are saying? If you go in the Star, you will see in the Star, they are talking about Raila here doing all manner of gymnastics, makeups, press-ups, and everything, and jump-ups in preparation of 2022. The same one is repeated in the Nation. The only addition in the Nation is that they have shown a confused man who is neither
just put
in
the cartoon, please,
nor in Jubilee. On the lower part is in Jubilee.
The tie is actually red and the shorts representing the Jubilee part of Raila Odinga.
Yes.
Then the vest is in orange.
Yes.
The only person missing here is Wetangula.
The only people who appear to be knowing what they are doing in that cartoon is Honorable Mudavadi and Honorable Ruto. Otherwise, Raila and Kalonzo there are just men of many colors.
Well, you can add the cartoonist to your line of witnesses. You had offered to be a witness. Bring the cartoonist also. But I tell you, Dibal, don't take legal advice from Khalwale. And don't listen to Aaron Cheruiyot. Aaron Khalwale speak some language that is, has lately been very consistent, especially from the DP. There's some deep bitterness in the DP's wing, which is demonstrated by statements from himself and from his allies, including recently what your colleague, our friend Cheruiyot just said, threatening everyone and telling them, we will come for you. Because of that bitterness, I will not go for that. For me, even for such statements, you must be held to account for everything you say or do.
But surely, on account of our faces, if the camera was to beam on Khalwale, myself, Eseli, and you this morning, they can see who is bitter.
I am smiling.
You can
I'm just adding to the
who
list.
is bitter this morning. Surely.
I am adding to the list of
I
witnesses.
can see you are struggling even to smile, Otiende.
Okay.
No.
All right. No. Just a moment.
This is a good contribution. As you line up witnesses for you, ensure that the CEO of Infotrack, who is a cousin of Otiende and Raila, is also a witness, because she has an opinion poll, which she released publicly, which spoke to the same thing.
Now my cousins.
Now she's going. She must also be a witness.
But in terms of
She's your
political strategy,
You know,
Dibal.
Yes.
But in terms of political strategy, you must give it to Otiende Amolo. You know why? Because now when he goes back to Rarieda, he doesn't have to do anything else. He'll just tell them, you know, I've been busy representing Baba in Nairobi. and he will have gotten the very important ODM vote.
That goes for Cheruiyot too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No.
When he gets back,
People look, I'm
No,
busy,
no,
I'm busy
no.
representing
No.
just a moment.
That is not how Jubilee
In
works.
this case, it was.
Jubilee has party nominations. It's ODM.
He's
In
saying
ODM, you just have to win one vote.
You are saying I don't know
No,
how
there's party
Jubilee works.
nominations
Is
next
Jubilee
week.
working?
Just a moment.
Okay.
Order a bit.
If that was the case, Aaron has just spent close to 2 weeks abroad.
Yeah.
And when he comes back, he'll be saying, I was representing the interests of the DP abroad. And that alone is enough to sustain him for 2 months.
Between how Jubilee
Khalwale,
conduct
let
their party
me
issues.
advise Khalwale that not all Luos are cousins. Please. The fact that I'm a Luo, Raila is a Luo, the owner of Infotrack is a Luo, does not mean we are cousins. So please just bear that in mind.